The plan right now, just take maybe 15-20 minutes and go over some of the harvest spoilers. So we're going to start with the earliest stuff first, and we'll move along. So first one, new unique abhorrent interrogation. Evasion ES, level 45. Attack cast speed, withered on hit. Only lasts 2 seconds. Enemies take 4% increased LA damage for each withered you have inflicted on them. I wonder, is it each withered they have on them at the time, or is it each withered you've inflicted on them in total? It's a little bit ambiguous. I'm assuming it's the withered stacks that are actually on them. Your hits cannot penetrate or ignore LA resists. This is very odd. You can lower resistance with EE, Curses, Occultist, and she can even potentially inflict Wither automatically in an aura. Yeah, I suppose the Wither aura would count as a Wither you inflict on them. I don't know, it doesn't seem great. Okay. Going backwards, new brand gems and brand changes. I think a lot of us have read this already. Changes to brands. Brands were first introduced many leagues ago with Storm brand and Armageddon brand. Brands are cast at a location and attached to nearby enemies, repeatedly activating to perform their unique effect. They detach if the enemy dies, ready to jump to another target. We've finally added some new brand skills. Arcanist brand, Penance brand, and Wintertide brand. This is new. The first two were teased on the Harvest main page, so I did read about those two already. Come alongside new playstyle options, how you can build and play brands like the new Swift brand support. These additions introduce a more aggressive active playstyle. Arcanist brand is a brand skill that supports any triggerable spell linked with it. Each time it activates, triggers a supported spell, allowing you to build your own brand setup, potentially even triggering multiple different spells in succession. So it triggers a supported spell every time it activates. That's a shame. It probably activates plenty often, but, and who knows, maybe for each spell it activates more frequently because then you're losing a support gem on it. I doubt that, but that'd be a good idea. As brand mechanics naturally have great clearing capacity, the supported skills have less area, proj range, and chain range. Triggered spell. Oh, they knew that people would be doing arc brands. Triggered spells have a damage penalty to balance their ability to activate multiple times. Triggered spells also deal more damage to the branded enemy. That actually makes arc brands quite good because they deal more damage to the branded enemy, and then it also deals more damage for each remaining chain. So against bosses, you're getting a huge pile of more damage if they're the only enemy. Projectiles will hit the branded enemy, but will aim at another nearby enemy each activation, so they often take advantage of Pierce Chain Fork. Arcanist brand has a shorter duration than other brands. Isn't something you'd use on any build to passively trigger effects, but when building for brands, it can be very powerful. Like other brands, cast speed affects activation rates, so it benefits from most spellcasters from back then. Okay. So Arcanist brand, I think, is going to be totally insane. I'm really excited for it. Penance brand builds up energy on the branded target with each activation, though at first the activations don't deal any damage. Each activation also spreads energy to another enemy, and then that enemy can then spread it to another uncharged enemy, the next activation, and so on. Will repeat activations. With repeat activations, it can rapidly spread through a group of enemies, energizing them all. When the brand is removed, by its duration expiring or it being recalled, the target dying or being replaced, all of the energy is released. This releases an explosion around each enemy, dealing physical damage with a portion converted to lightning. The more energy the enemy had on it, the greater the damage in area. You pick and choose which mechanics to focus on to detonate your penance brands. If the branded enemy becomes fully energized, they'll start pulsing damage around them, so reaching full charge won't waste any damage. You can shorten the duration of the brand to have them automatically go off after a brief time, or use brand recall to force detonations when you detach the brand. Penance brand seems like it's going to be really slow to me. I could totally be wrong, but like, I don't know, it'd be like a trap or a mine that like has to, like a flame blast mine or something like that, right? Like it has to charge up, and it just feels like by the time your penance brand is doing any damage, you could have killed everything already. And I think in the trailer, it even kind of looks like that. It looks so slow. Like when they're showing off Arcanist brand, stuff is just dying, and then when they show off penance brand, like it's awkward stops between packs waiting for them to die. Okay, Wintertide brand. This is the new guy. Wintertide brand applies a cold dot to the branded enemy and chills them. Every activation, the brand's damage effect becomes more intense on that enemy. Oh my god. When the brand is removed, same functionality as Penance brand, the damage over time effect is released in an area. This affects both the branded enemy if they're still alive and all other enemies around them. This means that if the damage effect has grown in intensity through many activations, it could apply a very potent damage over time effect in an area. Okay. Unlike other brands, Wintertide brand has a base limit of 2 brands per target. With the Runebinder Keystone, you can apply 3 Wintertide brands to a single target for massive cold damage over time. This means that your character's build will be quite different from other cold damage over time skills, but the duration-based nature of brands mean that you can easily cast a cold skill like Vortex, Cold Snap, or Arctic Breath in between for refreshing your brand's effects. Okay, so I was already thinking about doing like a Trickster Armageddon brand or a Trickster Arcanist brand, but if this is a dot, that makes me really want to go Trickster Wintertide brand for my starter. Swift brand support greatly lowers the active and inactive duration of a brand, but increases its activation rate. For a single brand being cast once, it's not as good as other supports, but if you're rapidly placing many brands, it's a huge damage increase. You can play a much more aggressive brand playstyle with the support. It also works well with Penance brand to rapidly detonate, as well as Armageddon brand to make the most of its short cast time. Interesting. Armageddon brand, I think, is in a really awkward place. They either need to up the damage or change the dot. Because as it is right now, it does okay damage and okay dot, and doesn't really feel like either of them scales enough. At least last time I played it. Brand Recall still instantly moves your brands to you and activates them, but no longer refreshes their duration. It now consumes mana based on the brands recalled. This prevents brands benefiting heavily from the Archmage support without the same mana upkeep the support usually requires. Yeah. I think pretty much everyone knew this was happening. At least something in regard to Archmage. I was really expecting Archmage to just no longer work with brands. Like, you know, it always says in support gems it'll be like, cannot support skills used by minions, mines, totems, or traps, or something like that. It would make so much more sense for it to just say Archmage can't support skills used by mines, totems, traps. Maybe it can support those, but like whatever it can't, and brands. We generally feel that if a common build has ongoing damage with very little input, it should deal below average damage or require massive investment. Certain brand builds that instantly refresh brand duration indefinitely provided too much power for their opportunity cost. Rather than lowering the damage of these builds, we've changed the mechanics that let the build be played passively. The cooldown of brand recall has been lengthened, provided new avenues of investment so that you can still bring it down to a similar length. Okay. I'm assuming that this means there will be like clusters on the tree that are like cooldown of brand skills, which is only really gonna work with brand recall, which I don't like how that sounds. As a small change to remove some more of the potential passivity of brands, brands now return to their original or recalled location when dropped by monsters rather than the dropped monster's location. I think I had heard this. I don't think this is that big of a deal. A lot of people were saying that this is like a huge nerf to brands, but most of the time, compared to how quickly you kill monsters, they do not move very far. They are very likely pretty close to the same spot they were when you were like fighting them. So I mean, the brand pulses 3 times, kills it. It's like 2 steps away from where it was. So who cares if it moves back a little bit? It's ever tried the agnostic? I haven't. This is like the very first thing. I went over the unique that they had teased first, and now I'm looking at the brand changes. I've still got all of these. Got like 6 more tabs, 5 more tabs to look at. Okay, I'm not going to bother looking at this. Visual changes, a new brand passive cluster. Okay, I hope this adds another active brand. Tweaks to existing and a crazy new unique weapon. A unique weapon for brands is going to be a big deal because not having brand-specific uniques made itemization not particularly exciting. Yeah, we'll figure out if the agnostic is going core. I think I have one of these that are some of the what do you want to call it? Some of the passives that are going to exist. Okay, new brand, and that's what we just read. Soul Tether will most likely be a keystone from Veil Timeless Jewels. The creator of the item Soul Tether was contacted by GGG for the approval of making the unique modifiers on the belt into a keystone, while the belt provides said keystone. This will be really exciting and kind of OP for melee. Previously, you had to sacrifice a belt for it. Now it only costs you 1 skill point, and you get a decent amount of effective HP and easy full life with Blood Rage. Yep. Jan Liki Zappo. Well, hello. I don't know who you are, but hello. So this is cool. Oh, and also agnostic and glancing blows on the passive tree, so apparently that's in there too. Having Soul Tether is definitely cool for sure. Yeah, so here are I don't know if these are all of them, but these are 5 that will be going on the passive tree. I've been hearing a little bit about people wanting to do like either an RF or Holy Flame Totem Hyro with the agnostic. It seems fine. You're not going to have a lot of mana, but it's still going to be pretty significant regen. And for RF, of course, that's pretty good. It does mean you're not going blood magic, but it's good. Supreme Ego. You can only have 1 permanent R on you from your skills, whereas do not affect allies, or is it 50% more effective with you, 50% more mana reserved. This is really cool. I don't really know what you do with it. Although, if you can do Supreme Ego with, is it Mortal Conviction? The thing behind blood magic that also lets you get an aura for free. Stacking those might be really useful. Eternal Youth. Energy Shield Recharge applies to life. That's interesting. I would need to figure out the mechanics of this, but that seems you're wanting to stack a ton of ES, but then you don't want ES so that it applies to your life, because as long as you have Energy Shield, you're not getting that regen on your life. That's really awkward. Maybe for like a weird hybrid character. Or something that actually uses blood magic but still has Energy Shield, like uses the blood magic gem. Glancing Blows is, of course, very good. Wind Dancer is very solid. Having these on the tree, I actually think are very, very good. Totally reduces the barrier of entry to using any of these things. Yeah. I don't think that works, Mask of the Stitch Demon with Eternal Youth, because I think Mask of the Stitch Demon sets your Energy Shield recharge to 0. I could be incorrect, though. So yeah, those are good. Very happy to see those. They do? Yes, yes. Okay. They will only roll new possibilities. What is that in reference to? Are there new keys? Oh, okay. Are there new keystones on the tree that are not from timeless jewels? Yes. Will existing jewels in standard be converted to giving the new keystone or the old one? They still have the old run, but will only roll new possibilities when you use divine. Okay. And then she does not respond. Okay. Cool. Cool. Next one here is one of the new timeless jewel keystones, Transcendence. Armor applies to LA damage taken from hits instead of physical damage and -5 all max res. Elemental res. Okay, so this means that you are losing out on some max resistance, but essentially allowing yourself to get significantly more mitigation if you stack a lot of armor. It also means that your armor does nothing for Fizz, which it basically didn't anyways. But that still seems like it could hurt. You might be, if you use endurance charges and a basalt and fortify, Transcendence is another probably pretty insane layer of mitigation. Like 10k armor is probably not super difficult to get. This is also insane with Lore Weave. Right? Lore Weave setting your max resist to 78. Transcendence's downside does nothing. So with Lore Weave and Transcendence, all you're doing is neutering your Fizz mitigation from armor, which it hardly has any anyways, and simply granting yourself even more maximum resistance. So that seems pretty solid. Although if it is the timeless jewel keystone, that means that this is, on a timeless jewel. So it's good, but gated behind timeless jewels. It is mortal man's folly to seek power beyond his comprehension. Okay, so eye level 100, double influence, rare one-handed weapon. That is really interesting. It's going to be bad 90% of the time. And the times where it's good, you're either getting a good base with like meh influence types, or you're getting a really bad base with good influence types. It should. I wish there was a way to guarantee that the weapon that it gave you was not going to be like a Driftwood Wand, right? Getting a double influence Driftwood Wand is going to feel really bad. Or like a double influenced, rusted spike. Even the like middle of the road stuff, I mean, for this sort of thing, you really want like the tier 1, or maybe you could settle with a tier 2 weapon. Yeah. This looks really cool on paper, but I actually think it's going to be really bad. Yeah, this will be a trap for most crafting projects, for sure. You do not start with that. All right, Harvest FAQ. This is the real reason I wanted to do the video. Because I didn't even read it all yet. There is a lot here. All right, earlier this week, we announced Path of Exile Harvest, which is set to launch on June 19th. In this league, you'll assist Oshabi as she explores the mysterious powers of the Sacred Grove. In short, you'll plant seeds, encourage their growth, harvest the monsters within, and use their life force as a powerful crafting resource. In Harvest, you'll be able to find a seed. I say it's cash. Chris Wilson says it's cache. Whatever, it's a seed cache. When you're within a certain range of it, roots will appear beneath your feet and point you towards it to help you easily locate it. I did see that in the video. I like that. Open the cache, collect the seeds, and enter Oshabi's portal to plant them in the garden alongside collectors. Each seed has a different property which dictates which monsters will spawn from it and which specific crafting resources that monster can create. Once a crop of plants is fully grown, you can harvest it and monsters will emerge. If you're able to slay these monsters, their life force can be used for crafting and to help grow higher tiers of seed. The Sacred Grove gives you complete power over which seeds you'd like to plant, how many monsters you'd like to challenge yourself against at any one time, and which crafting options you'd like to utilize. Crafting options provide benefits to characters at all levels, that's good, and unlock means of power not seen before in Path of Exile. My big hope for this is that we get new affixes. I know that there's a lot of powerful crafting options that they've already shown, a lot of like very powerful, remove a mod and add a new mod, or re-roll an item with this new mod on it or whatever. But I'd like to see some new affixes. Chris Wilson is Bay, but Cash is French. Like Cash. Yeah, I say Cash. But in the trailer he said Cash. So there you go. We're really excited about introducing a league with a pace that differs from previous leagues. Can't wait to see how players build their characters around these crafting options. Do seeds stack? Yes, identical seeds are the same level will stack in your inventory and in the seed storage within the grove. The level will be displayed on the seeds in your inventory. How do I make my plant grow? Seeds specify how many cycles of growth they require before they'll be ready to harvest. When you open a seed cache in the main game, it will count as one growth cycle within your garden. You don't need to enter your garden in order to make the seeds grow, and their growth is not tied to the passage of time. What happens if I don't plant my seeds? Will they disappear? You can save them for as long as you'd like, or even trade them with other players. Do I have to harvest my plants within a certain amount of time? Nope, they don't wither or die. I don't like tending my garden. What happens if I skip entering the garden for a map? There's no negative effect, it just pauses your progress. You can leave it for as long as you'd like and return to it when you're ready. How do I get garden equipment? You start with a small amount of each type of equipment to facilitate getting your garden started. Some is already placed in your garden to ensure that it's easy to learn how things work as you progress through the game. It's likely that you can use Life Force to purchase additional pieces of infrastructure. Yeah, I know that they said that they're still kind of talking about this. Which, if you hadn't, strongly recommend you watch Ziggy D's Q&A video with Chris Wilson on harvest mechanics. I was going to do a video on it, but I wound up watching it like right after my first video on harvest. And just I didn't have it in me to go through another 45-minute video because there's so much that he talks about there. I feel like that would have been a 2-hour video with me pausing it every couple of minutes and giving my awful and stupid feedback. Can I accidentally target my garden's infrastructure while I'm fighting monsters? You have a short window to activate as many collectors as you'd like. After this window, you can't target anything else in your garden while monsters are active. The exception to this is the portal to exit your garden in case you need to quickly flee the danger. Can we move and delete stuff? Yes. Can you access it from your hideout? Yes. They were a little unsure about this too, but it makes sense, right? There's no reason not to. How many new crafting options? There are over 45 categories, resulting in over 250 different possible craft effects. Okay, so that doesn't really tell us how many are new, but it does tell us that there will be 250 crafting effects. So that's 250 modified alks, augs, regals, divines, right? There will be these like modified versions of currency, which is what the crafting effects are. And I'm pretty sure all of them will basically be to that effect. How do you know which ones you get? This is going to be, I think, the tough part. Each seed states the category, so you can prioritize planting seeds which correlate to the crafting options you're interested in. When you slay the monsters, their life force can be used to craft an outcome within that category. The specific outcomes you receive are listed on the crafting screen. The more life force you have in your collector, the more options you'll be able to use out of the set you received. For example, if you plant 8 seeds that grant reveals a random physical modifier crafting effect when harvested, slay those monsters and gather the life force, you'll be presented with different options with outcomes like reforge a rare item with new random modifiers, including a physical modifier, augment a magic or rare item with a new physical modifier. This is actually insane. This is like a Crusader's Exalt, right? It's a targeted Exalt, which is, That's incredibly strong. Remove a physical modifier from an item. This could also be very, very good. Like, you're going to get really good caster items, or I wonder if, is Thorns considered a physical mod? I don't remember. But that could be very, very nice, you know, to basically save a bricked item. Especially if there's only one physical modifier on an item, guaranteeing that as an annul is just insane. Like, this is going to do some really heavy lifting. Like, this type, actually both of these types of modifiers, whether it's physical or whatever else, you know, a new elemental modifier or a new caster modifier or a new defense modifier, all of these are just going to be so strong. Randomize the numeric values of the random properties of physical modifiers on an item. Not nearly as impressed with that one, but you know, whatever. Could be helpful. You may have multiple uses of some of these based on the randomly determined outcome of each seed. There will be a total of 8 outcomes, including the multiple uses, though you'll usually not have enough life force to use them all, but you'll hopefully get and be able to afford the one you really wanted. Okay, so does it benefit low-level players? Yes. Tending your garden from the earliest stages of the game provides powerful benefits to both leveling and endgame characters. We want the items you craft to be very powerful and to provide a huge boost for getting through the storyline content. For example, Exalted Orbs are powerful currency items that are generally only available in the endgame. Some Harvest Craft allow you to effectively exalt your items with specific mods. For example, exalting a physical modifier on the item. Yep, just like I said up here. Normally, exalted items are very rare due to a combination of their power, tradability, and that they work on any item. If we drop too many early in the game, they'll lose a lot of their value. However, we can get a lot of physical exalts early in the game through Harvest, and they can only be used on lower level items and don't have any implications for endgame items. By endgame, the physical exalts become rare again because their value rises exponentially as they affect more items. That's really interesting. So at low levels, you're going to have access to a lot of the exalt crafts, which actually to me sounds a lot like fossil crafting. Take a level 1 driftwood wand and slam it with these caster exalt crafts, and you can get like +1 gems very, very easily. I don't even know if it's possible, but if you can get an influenced, I guess a lot of those have item level requirements anyways on those affixes. But still, I do like this system. I'm not sure I like this, the physical exalts being rare again. If it goes down a little bit, that's fine, but you know, if all of a sudden, like, items above, or like seeds above item level like 68, you have like a 10% chance of getting the physical exalt, where at 66 you have a 40% chance, it's going to feel really bad. Harvest crafts effectively allow you to exalt your gear while leveling, which is unprecedented. How do we get tier 2 seeds? You kill tier 1 monsters, right? Do monsters also drop items? Yes. The main reward for tending your garden is powerful crafting options, but you'll also receive regular items and potentially some harvest-specific uniques. That's interesting. Harvest-specific uniques. I hope that's not just from the bosses. I hope there are some uniques that can drop from everything. The item drop rate is higher than that of regular monsters in the main game because of league content, of course. What's the motivation for killing more monsters? The more monsters you kill, the more seed drops you get, and the more life force you can collect for your crafting section. Any leftover life force can be stored and used to yield higher tier plants. Slain monsters also grant experience and item drops as usual, and larger fights result in larger bonuses to item drops. Yeah, makes sense. We're also experimenting with creating a system that means that the more monsters you kill at a time, the more item drops and life force you get relative to the size of the harvest. That's interesting. This would be displayed as a list of stats below the collector's harvest button, similar to the list of stats next to the Medmore's power bar. Okay. I like this a lot. It's very risk-reward. It's like, you can risk a really hard fight, but then you might be getting double the life force that you would have gotten if you fought those monsters in smaller groups. Will there be some way to know when your plants are ready to harvest without visiting your garden? We're working on some kind of signal. Its exact implementation is currently in progress. We'll confirm them. We'll find out details as soon as they are ready. How do you get there? When you open the seed cache, there's a portal. Will my garden reset? No, it has a set size. Okay. You'll always access the same one, but it will continue to evolve as you develop your garden. So the question then is your garden carried across accounts? I'm assuming that gets discussed further. Can I access my stash? Yes, you can craft items that are stored in your stash, but can not remove or add items to the stash if you're in a map. I wondered what this is going to look like. How do you get it into your inventory to craft? You can't remove it from your stash. Can I re-enter the garden if I die? Yes, unless you're in a hardcore league. Monsters remain until the instance closes. How does it work in parties? You can access your party members' gardens by entering Oshabi's portal. We're working out the details for how seed drop allocation will work. Yeah. Am I able to access my garden from my other characters? Yes, you have one garden per league. Okay. Your plants will only grow if you're opening seed caches that are from a level similar to the level of the plants in your garden. For example, you can't progress your level 82 seeds while you're in the mudflats. I wonder if that works the other way around. If I'm level 82, can I progress seeds that I got from the mudflats? I'm assuming you can. But yeah. These last couple sound interesting. Do your map mods affect monsters? They are working on it. I believe that it will. It sounds like Chris Wilson really wants this to happen. Can Delirium affect the monsters in your garden? Our intention is that Delirium can spread through your garden and the timer will be paused if all players in the instance are inside the grove. That is spicy. I like that. When I enter Oshabi's portal, will I have to wait for a loading screen? Nope. It's incursion. That is great. This does answer a lot of questions. That's good. Good stuff. I don't really have anything else to say. I kind of went over all of that there. That is all of the news that I have seen. And gosh, that was already half an hour. So I think that is plenty long. There are a lot of other good content creators making some really good videos. So go watch some of those. And once there's another nice batch of spoilers, I will be offering my thoughts on those. Probably another, gosh, it might be another 2 days, but I will definitely be making another video. So thanks for sticking around. I'll see you.